it's almost irresponsible not to try to do some investing and putting your money to work. That's what iFlip is for. My name is Jose Villa, born and raised in New York, and I actually have a couple of different jobs. I work for Capital One Bank as a business banker. I've been doing that for about 20 years. And about 3 years ago, my wife and I opened up a franchise called Philly Pretzel Factory. So we have the first Philly Pretzel Factory based in Queens, New York, and we are 2.5 years in business. So at the moment, other than being a father, a husband, a brother, I own a business and I have a job, so quite busy. My experience with investing, I wouldn't say it was very involved. It was more of just kind of reactionary, and my investments really more through my job, really just my 401k and kind of whatever is offered through the bank. I wasn't a big day trader. I was involved with investing my own money. So I guess more of a novice in terms of the experience for my investments. And then I heard about iFlip. It was introduced to me through my brother-in-law. And at first I really didn't understand what it was about. So I decided to take up on his offer to visit one of the presentations, or the kind of live person presentations. When I arrived, I saw a large group of people. There was a presenter. There was a live presentation with PowerPoints and all that, and it kind of just is very different from what I'm used to. It wasn't a one-on-one thing. It was really more just a casual meeting, and just discovering what iFlip is all about. And within a few minutes, it seemed very simple, so it didn't look complicated at all. And what I liked about the presentation was, it wasn't really kind of like hardcore selling or pushy. Randy was just more very relaxed, and he basically said, here's what it's about, here's why it's great, here's why I think you guys should consider it. And I'm not telling you need to sign up. I'm just telling you I believe in it. You should too. And if you don't, great. But if you want to take a part of it, you want to be part of our journey, then you're welcome to. And that's kind of the impression that I got is really more informational. It wasn't any hardcore selling, which I think made me feel more comfortable. And I was really impressed. I think the fact that the platform that's being offered is really more computer-based and high-end technology, and the whole story about the algorithm, it just made me feel comfortable knowing that I didn't have to know everything, but there are very smart people behind the systems. And I could feel comfortable knowing, if I don't have the time to do investments and all that, these professionals can. And not only that, but they have the technology behind them with the way the algorithms work, where I felt very protected. And I think within 24, 48 hours, I knew that I wanted to do it. I had some questions which were answered for me the day of the presentation. And really at the end of the day, the process, once you get started, it's kind of like a set it and forget it type of situation where your money's, it's being invested and you feel comfortable. It just feels like you're in a good spot, and the support is really, really helpful. So the onboarding wasn't difficult. The decision to join was very easy, and I was able to get set up fairly quickly. Yeah, so what I started with was kind of rolling over my IRA from a previous job, where I didn't realize that this money was really just sitting there for a while. It had been just stagnant, not really growing for, 7 or 8 years. And when I learned about iFlip, I said, you know what, I have nothing to lose. This money is just sitting there earning very little return. And I rolled it over into iFlip, and I decided to go with an aggressive approach because the money hadn't been growing for a very long time. So it was almost like you have nothing to lose. So you're really not earning anything. Put it to work, put it aggressive, because you want it to grow, since I wanted to catch up for lost time. And that's how I ended up with that decision. I put it into that smartfolio, and it's been growing ever since. It's been very, very easy to manage. My expectation when I decided to join iFlip was, there's a reason why I'm doing this. I don't have the, I guess, the capacity or the time or the interest in doing this full time and being kind of a trader on my own. This is why I kind of hire professionals. And it was, it was explained to us early on that the better performers, those two things. One, the better performers, they kind of choose a strategy and stick with it. And the more importantly, because we can't control the markets, we can only predict our best and do the best to get the best return. But really, it's a long-term strategy. It's not, oh, it's down this week, I'm going to switch up the whole strategy. We were told, listen, you got to give it time. You make a decision, you kind of trust the process, and, you have to believe that it's gonna work, because that's what the algorithm's performing. That's what it's supposed to do. So if the market senses there's going to be an issue, it'll get pulled out. And my experience early on was I could see the trading happening constantly, because I would get messages saying you're just bought, you're in, you're out, and you're in. And I thought, this is great. This is like an active way of me investing without me having to actually go in and make changes all the time. So I just followed the advice of the person who kind of guided me through when I was setting it all up. And, we've been through a pretty crazy wave over the last 3 years. In my experience in 2020, I had even less time to get involved and manage investments, because I started a new business. So this was perfect for me, because I knew the money was there, it's being invested. I have some protection because somebody's looking out for me, and I don't have to be involved every day. And to be honest, I've heard some horror stories. People's 401ks, just became, significantly lower. That's not the case with me. And, I have much more money than I had when I first started. I didn't have to go in every day and check. And I'm very happy with the performance so far. And I think the future's bright. And it all comes down to knowing that it's a long-term thing and not just overnight success that you expected every day. One thing that I remember specifically with iFlip was getting communications from, I guess, Kelly, one of the founders. He reached out to us and it just kind of set the stage and sent us an email telling us that. And I remember, listen, this whole thing with COVID, it's going to affect the markets. And if you look at it long term, people historically look back 5-10 years later, and they'll say, this was, kind of like a pandemic. And the pandemic this is how the market's going to react to it. And this is what happened. So it wasn't really surprising to me how the fund was performing or how iFlip was performing, because we were kind of, warned, and we were told this is what's going to be, this is what's going to happen. Expect this to happen. And so there was really no surprises for me. I kind of expected it to. And I'm glad to see that in 2022, when I look back now, it's gone up. I'm happy with the performance, and the future looks bright. I look forward to putting in more money and investing a little bit more aggressively. Other thing about iFlip that it allowed me to do is really focus on my business, and really just focus on the operation and growing the company, and also my job, where I'm actively a business banker, and it's really difficult to do many things at the same time. And that's why I think iFlip has a good value, is you don't have to be involved every day. As a business banker, there are a lot of different ways that we can go about, kind of manage your own money and investing. And my bank isn't really heavy with investments, so we can hire an advisor and kind of park our money with them and kind of work with them to grow our portfolio or whatnot. And also, buy the bank stock and hopefully that it grows. Not many options, but the reality is with iFlip, it's really more technology driven, and the algorithms are kind of protecting you. So I see it as one and the same. I know there's a lot of smart people behind the programs, and also leaning on technology. So I don't have to just expect one person to be managing it. And what if this person, makes a mistake? I feel like with iFlip, you have more of a backup. It's not just a person, there's systems behind it. And, really just easier to manage versus having to actively work with someone every day and worrying about this person maybe making a mistake. So that's a big thing for me, not putting all my eggs in one basket, having a couple of different, diverse investments, and definitely iFlip is one of the ones that I use. My recommendation for an iFlip customer would be two things. One, someone that kind of doesn't have a lot of experience, and rather than having a ramp up period where you learn about something over a 2-3 year period, really leverage some experts that are going to kind of walk you through the process and someone you can lean on. So I would say somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience investing. And the second thing is somebody that's really busy. Like if you have, kids and a family, you have a job, or you have a job and a business, this is perfect for you because, when do you have time to do this in addition to all the other things that you have to do? So for someone that's really busy and just doesn't have time and knows that they should be doing something, and it's kind of like, it's almost irresponsible not to try to do some investing and putting your money to work. That's what iFlip is for, because you have the artificial intelligence, you have the technology. It's been proven, it's been set up by people that have been doing it for a very long time. So, why reinvent the wheel? Leverage the experts and work with them and feel comfortable that your money is growing while you're doing many other things. One of the things I like about iFlip is the people that I started working with, I'm still connected with them. So if I have any questions, I started the process. My brother-in-law introduced me to iFlip, and Aaron was my direct contact, and I could email him at any time. And it's been years, so we stay in communication. That makes me feel comfortable. And we joke about me being like the perfect customer because we chose a strategy from the beginning. I invested the money and I just let it work instead of being actively involved in changing things around constantly. I was told that it's not the way to go when I first started, and I listened to them and I kept the strategy the same. And it makes me feel comfortable knowing that what I decided to do years ago is still working for me, and it was a good decision for me to stick with that strategy and not being very involved in moving the numbers around. I was warned about it, and I think it's true.